we go. This screenshot is in a Word format, and hopefully it is still, we can still, yeah, that's all right. We can still see that. This is it gives you an indication of the testing environment. It's a two-screen system on the computer when you go through, and after they give you a little introduction, checklist of items that on the test and some demos, and then when they launch the test and your timer starts, it looks like this. All right? It has, well, you're going to have an Excel. This one has a Word program there. This video from Centerpoint indicates that it's a real program. I don't know that I believe that. I think it's a flash version of a real program. And they say that the only thing that's been disabled is the help file. But we'll get to that here in a second. Then there are 3 tiles along the bottom. And when I click the video, you'll see these tiles are movable and expandable. So the first thing I did was drag these 3 tiles. Let me go through them first. One is a checklist of instructions. These are all the tasks that you're expected to complete. And what I've done is created just a Word document, bullet points, of every task I could remember. All right? And I'll be posting all of this under the Excel exam review tab on the Blackboard. Okay? So this is everything, and it looks like a lot, and it is quite a bit. You don't have a whole lot of time to be fumbling around figuring out how to do it. But I'll explain that here in a second. The second tile that's down here is a JPEG of the finished product. And I've got 2 JPEGs of the finished file that I created following these instructions with some sample data that I also created. All right? And then the last tile is all of the source files. Okay? Here is going to be the pictures plus a picture that you're supposed to import into Excel. So they've got a little picture that they want you to insert into Excel as part of the task. It has the raw data, which is a text file, and I have that also, and I'll be uploading all of this into a folder. So you have 3 files, and what I did was the first thing I did was I drug all 3 of these, and on my test there were actually 2 JPEGs of the finished products, because the 2 finished products in Excel were on sheet 1 and sheet 2. So they had a JPEG picture, screenshot picture of the first sheet, and then they had a second JPEG picture of the second sheet. So you could kind of tell what it was supposed to look like when it was, if you had successfully followed every step. All right? So I just drug those into the other window so that I had just the Excel spreadsheet over here. All right? So the other thing that is in this file, and that's what it's saying here is, if I unmute it, that's what it's saying.
Set of properties or guidelines. This leading-edge, outcomes-based testing style validates a higher level of workforce and academic user readiness by emulating the real-world utilization.
The other thing that is down at the very bottom are the controls for your test. Let me see if I can't find that real quick. And it is. Yeah, so here's the testing window. Here's your checklist.
The exam. Please note that the checkboxes are only provided to improve your experience and do not affect your overall score.
So whether you use them or not is up to you.
Next is the reference
and then I just explained that. All right.
To give a visual approximation of what the final document should look like.
Down at the very bottom. Maybe it won't. Here we go. Okay, here we go. There's 3 controls. One is the tile. If you click on this tile thing, all it does is take these 3 tiles from that second window and puts them back in the position in which you found them. That's all it does, all right? The reset button, I'm not quite sure why it's there, but it will wipe out all of the work you've done and start you over, okay? So, I mean, if everything has gone horribly wrong early in the test and you just need to start over again, I guess you could do that one. It will not, however, reset the timer. Over here, which you can't see, there's a timer, a countdown timer that lets you know how much time you have left in the exam. If you hit reset, it doesn't reset that timer. And then the last of the commands over here is finish. When you're all said and done and you've looked at it and you're ready to submit your test for grading, you hit finish. And it will give you the grade instantaneously. It will tell you how you did. Okay? So that's the environment. I shut this down way too early. This is what you're looking for. This is my grade sheet. All right? You want to pass. That's what you're looking for. To pass, you just need to get above a 70. I got an 88. I didn't get perfect, and you can see the areas. Create and manage worksheets and workbooks, I got 87 out of 100. And I know, I'm pretty certain I know, and I'm getting ready to tell you what I think I did wrong here, all right? Creating cells and ranges, I don't know why I'm low on that. But I'm going to show you, but I got enough to be able to pass it. Creating tables, an 88 again. Formulas and functions, I hammered. I got that down. And so the formulas and functions they tested me on, I'll be able to show you what those were. Because I remember every one of them, and they're on my list. And then creating charts and objects, I'll tell you right up front, I hate charts. I'm terrible at them. But I still got an 88 on it, which is plenty. You just need a 70 to pass. Because it's nowhere on your certificate, and they give you a nice little certificate, suitable for framing. And they give you a nice little certificate when it's all said and done. I can't find mine, otherwise I'd have brought it. And it doesn't say your score on that. So this is all I want. You just need to get a PDF of this. And they will give you, they'll print it out when you get walking out of the center. They'll hand it to you. All right? And so just take it someplace in PDF or take a picture of it with your cell phone and email it to me, and you'll get the 80 points for this.
Full 80 points if you pass it?
If you pass it, full 80 points. If you take it and fail it, I'll give you 40. All right? If you don't take it at all, I'll give you nothing. Okay? And I'm expecting to be able to issue the vouchers this weekend, like I mentioned in class.
So we will know when we're done. We're going to know if we passed.
You're going to know instant. The minute you hit the finish button, it'll come up and tell you this. It displays on the screen. They will give you a hard copy as you're walking out, because it apparently prints out at the reception desk also. So they hand this to you as you're walking out. Okay?
How long when you took the test?
I think it's an hour.
Now?
Yeah. It may be an hour and a half. I don't remember. It was May. And I didn't write that down as to how long. But we can find that out. When you register for it, because you're going to call the testing center to register for the test, they'll tell you how long you have for the test. I'm pretty sure it's an hour, but it might be an hour and a half. I just don't remember. But you'll know way before you get in there. And like I said, over there in the corner, the lower left-hand corner of your testing windows is a countdown timer. All right? Everybody good on this so far? Okay. the files that I'm going to upload into here is that Word document that's the checklist. Okay, that's the list of steps that you're to perform. I'm also going to give you a text file with data in it. All right? The data I created is not perfect, and I can't figure out how to make it perfect, but there's a small problem with it, but I'll show you what I'm doing to correct that problem. It's all. But real quick. I've taken 2 pictures of sheet 1, which I've entitled Grade Book, and sheet 2, which I have entitled Schedule, of my finished file. But I'm also giving you the Excel file of the finished product. Okay? So this is what I did to finish the... So I've got 2 tabs here. I've got a grade book with a chart, and then I've got a schedule with that crazy little butterfly fiction in it. Okay? So this all came out of this raw data. Okay? This text file here. All right? Is all it is. So you got to go from here to here in under an hour by following this list. It's not, don't freak out. It's doable. Okay? For whatever the time limit was, I had plenty of time left over because I kept monkeying with the chart, trying to get it a little better and stuff like that. It's not my expertise. But if you're worried about the chart stuff, then there's those videos that I've got posted out there. That guy, and I still haven't gone out and looked at his chart videos. But if there's a hole in what I'm teaching you now, that's where it is. But I'm teaching you enough chart to pass, because I passed. All right? Everybody good? Okay. So, starting with a blank Excel spreadsheet. The first step on the checklist is to create 2 sheets and then import the text to column. Under data, oh, I misspelled that. Get external data from text. So I'm going to show you that first. So the first thing, and I'm sure I've already got 3 sheets here. No, I've got 1 sheet. So down here at the bottom, you need to click the little plus sign so that you've got 2 sheets to start with. Yes, sir. Oh, no, I have not posted it yet. Yeah. That would have been really useful. Yeah. I could quickly put that out there, and then you could pull the data in. That's a great idea. No, it's just a great idea. That won't take me long. Less than a couple minutes. I would pause the recording, but I don't know how. So I'm sure there's a button on here to pause it, but I don't know which button to push. Okay, so under Excel Review, let me put a folder out here. Okay, it's out there. It's under the Excel review on the left-hand side, and then at the very bottom there is an MOS training folder. And right now, inside that folder, it only has one file called data. So drag that to your desktop, and then you can follow along with me. All right, under the Data tab, and you'll see up here at the top, Get External Data. And you can either get it from Access, from Web, from Text. That's where you want to get it. Now what I did was I had that text file out there, and the reason I think I got that first little section wrong was I went out there and clicked into that text file. And then just hit Control-A to highlight everything, Control-C to copy it, and then I came over to Excel, clicked in cell A1, and did Control-V, and boom, I had my data, and I moved on. That's not what they said in the instructions. They said to go get external data from text. So this is where it is. You go to the Data tab, Get External Data from Text. You then browse your computer, and it'll default to where the text file is on the testing computer. You won't have to go find it. It'll be the only folder that you can access. And I hit Data, because it's looking for text files. When I hit Import, you'll see it comes up with the text import wizard. This is the column, the text to column dialog box. And all you got to do is, I'm going to do delimited. It's because the data is delimited by tabs. And you'll see it comes up with these little black lines. So there's a number, and then number 1, number 2, and final. And even it's smart enough, because there's a separate set of data down below that is week 1, 2, 3, and then chapters. And you'll see there's only 2 lines there. It doesn't have the 3 lines. So it's separating it out automatically for you. So when you, at this point, just hit Finish. Where do you want to put it? You want to put it in cell A1 of the existing worksheet. And select OK. And there it is. There's your data. All right? I don't know. Not mine is. I can troubleshoot this during office hours, but let's just move on. Okay. Okay, so here it is. And don't worry about the columns and stuff right now. The next thing on the list is to cut the rows down at the bottom of that week 1, week 2 stuff. And it says cut rows. So don't just highlight the data and cut it. Highlight the whole rows and cut it. And then paste it into sheet 2. So you do that by going over here and then highlight in the row numbers over here. You're going to click and hold down until you highlight all that data down there. And what it does is it highlights the entire row all the way out. Okay? And then you want to cut this. I would use the icons, because like I said, I'm pretty sure this is a flash version. The other thing I did was I hit Control-X to cut. But there's an icon up there that's foolproof. So cut this, and then go over to sheet 2 and paste it using the icon once again. All right? So now you've got all your data from the bottom of that worksheet into sheet 2. And the only thing that you're left in sheet 1 is the grade center data, which now you can narrow this column up. And this didn't come up this way when I did this, at the testing center. All right? So it's just my data. My data is flawed. And I couldn't fix it. Because when you did the testing center, that B column wasn't real wide. The data came in correctly at the bottom. And the other thing, and I'm just going to fix that real quick, my data, you've got blanks in here, which we're eventually going to use a function to count the blanks. That's somebody who didn't take a test. All right? I need to delete all those blanks real quick because when I imported it, there's a space or something. There's something in there. I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to read real quick, just delete all this to clean up my data. And this is just a flaw in mine. Yours will not work this way in the testing center. So I'm just going through here real quick and deleting the cells that looked empty, but in reality they're not. Okay? So now we're ready to move on. The next thing on the checklist is to name sheet 2 and color the tab background. All right? So I'm going to name this second tab down here on sheet 2 as, what did I call it? Schedule. So to name a tab, you double click on it. Did everybody already know that? You just double click the sheet 2, and now I can type in schedule and hit enter. So now sheet 2 it is now called schedule. If you right click the tab, you get tab color. And I'm just going to color it red. So when you come up to tab color, it has all these colors out here. And the reason I keep walking back and forth is so the robot films the actual screen rather than me. So if it makes you dizzy, I'll just hang this over here. So I'm just going to color it red. And that's it. Now, I also went further and colored and named sheet 1, but I don't think they ask you to do that. So I called this grade center, I think. Grade book. And I colored that green for reasons that I don't remember why. Okay? So then the next instruction is to remove duplicates. All right? This I initially did manually because the list of data was kind of short, so I just kind of looked down it and I saw 2 rows that were exactly the same, and I went up and deleted it. And then I thought, no, that's probably not what they want. So going back to here, highlight, and actually all you got to do is click in here because it's automatically going to do it. And I'll just show you. Here, and here. Row 8 and row 26 are exactly the same. It's student number 4743 and with exam scores of 93, 96, and 100. So they're duplicates in the data. So when you click in the data, over once again in the data tab, there's a data tools at the top that says remove duplicates. It says remove duplicate rows from a sheet. When you click on that, it automatically highlights everything and it says my data has headers, which it does. It has headers that say number 1, 2, and final. And these are the columns. When I say OK, it found one duplicate and it removed it. And you can see that it removed the second one. The one that was down there in row 16 is gone now. All right? Huh? Yeah, but it did that on my computer for some reason, and it only removed one row. Check. It said it found 15, but it only took one row out.
It's row number 23, right?
Well, it was. But 26. Row 26.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the only one that's gone. Don't worry about it. And it worked at the testing center too. I think it removed 2 rows on mine. So, all right. Okay, next. It says name range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first column of the grade book and I'm going to name it midterm 1. All right? So over here, I'm going to highlight from row 1 down to row 50 the grades from midterm 1, and up here at the top, at the very top up here, you can name it. It's right now just called B1, and I'm going to call it midterm 1. And that's it. Hit enter. You've named the range. Okay? And you can tell because if you hit F5, it brings up all of the named ranges. I mean, we have a big one called data because we imported that. But now we have a midterm 1 range. And if you click on that, it'll highlight that range. All right? Next, you want to count if. So this is the first of the functions. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to put 100. All right? So count if, and they're going to do 2 things. The criteria for this function, the syntax for this function, is the range plus the criteria. The criteria, if you're going to manually type it in there, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of doing this. If the criteria, if you're going to manually type it in there, it needs to be within quotes. So I'm going to count the number of students that got 100 on midterm 1. And I'm going to use the named range. So I'm just going to type in midterm 1, right, comma, quote, 100, end quote. So I'm count if midterm is equal to, within the range of midterm 1, how many hundreds there are. And when I hit enter, you get 10. And if you go back and count the number of midterm grades that are in midterm 1, you'll see, in fact, that there was 10 of them in there. Okay? The second thing, and let me just show you another way of doing this. I'll go over and do the same thing. So count if, and I'll manually just highlight midterm 2, comma. And what I've done is I've off to the side here, I've put 100 out here. If I just point to that cell, you don't need the quotes. So I pointed to this cell, and then I end the function. And it works also, because there's 10 in that one too. All right, so those are the 2 different ways. Flip a coin. I'm not sure which one they counted is right, because I did it that first way. I put it within quotes, and I got in functions. I got 100%. So now I'm pretty sure, yeah, because the functions I got all 100. All right. The second one is they want blanks. So I'm just going to type in missed, because the blanks are people who didn't take the exam. So what this one is count blanks. Same thing. This, oops. Count blank, not blanks. And you can see the function comes up here. And that's the way it works on the testing center. Is as you start typing in the functions, it narrows it down, and it's right there. And it tells you what it does. Count the number of empty cells in a specified range of cells. All right? So count blank. I'm going to do the same thing, the range of midterm 1. And that's all it is. It's just looking for the range. Hit enter, and sure enough, if you scroll up through midterm 1, you can see there were 3 people that didn't take midterm 1. So those are 2 of the functions that they asked. I did it. It says on the checklist which columns they want you to do it in. So you know, either one. It tells you more specific. I just know that that's the function they asked me about, so I just demonstrated it. Okay. All right. Okay. The next one is they wanted you to sum. That's simple. All I'm going to do is sum these 2. So equals sum the number of people and the number of got hundreds is in fact 13. So sum, open parentheses, highlight the range you want to sum. You can do the same thing. You can sum, you know, midterm 1 and it'll do it there. Do not, I would warn you, don't use hotkeys in shortcuts. Because, you know, those of you that take my classes, you know there's a hotkey for summing. Hold down the Alt and hit the plus equal sign up at the top right-hand corner of the keyboard. Don't do it that way. I'm pretty certain they'll count you wrong on it. Type it in manually. It doesn't take long. All right? Okay, the next thing that I remember is they wanted to range tables and then add totals and styles. All right? So this is how you do that. I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to highlight this entire table. Okay? If you go to the insert, there's a table. Insert tables. When you click on that, it will select this table. And then once again, make sure that the checkbox, My Table Has Headers, is in there. All right? So now we're defining that first data in the grade book as a table. And I'll show you what you can do with it here in a second. All right? It defaults to a new ribbon up at the top called Design. That ribbon wasn't there a second ago. But because we now have a table, it came up and it said header rows, banded rows, a total row, as well as filter buttons. You can see now that the top of the headers have changed color, and they now have this little down arrow for filters. And we're going to use that here in a second. All right? So the next thing they want you to do is to add totals to this. So all I do is I check that box at the top to add a total row, and you see that I now have a total down here. Now granted, totaling up all the grades in a class doesn't make much sense. And that's once again a flaw with my data. All right? So I'm going to change that. Watch when you click on that cell. When you click on that cell, you can see there's a little pull-down list. Right? When you pull that list down, it gives you the options of none, a sum, which is the total, or an average. So what I'm going to do is change it to an average, because that makes more sense. What's the average of the final exam? So, average. And then I'm going to drag that, over to all of them. The other thing that are nice about tables is that when this is a defined range as a table, when I add a new column, because I'm going to average each student now, when I put in a new column called average, it automatically adds it to the table. It's smart enough to assume that, well, you must be adding it to the table, otherwise you wouldn't have put it next to it. And then when I put in average here, for the 3 grades, and I hit enter, it assumes I want to do the average for everyone. And it does it. It's nice, isn't it? It's a cool program. So that's totals and averages, all right? The second thing it wanted to do was styles. So if I click anywhere in here, and I go back to the Design tab, you'll see over here in the ribbon, there's table styles. And it tells you in the problem which style to use. So when you click in here, there's a whole bunch of different styles. And and what it says is, you can see when you put your cursor over top, it says table style medium 1. Well, in your checklist, it's going to tell you which style they want you to format this new table in. So you need to pause your little cursor as you're going around and find the exact style that they want you to use. And I'm just going to select medium 1. And there, now the table is formatted as such. Does that make sense? Okay. Sorting the table. The little pull-down list here has an option to sort from largest to smallest. So I'm going to sort the average, the exam average, from the highest in the class down to the lowest. Straightforward. All I'm going to do is sort, and no, I did smallest at the top. Largest to smallest. Now, you'll notice another problem. Is that I've got somebody who didn't take all 3 exams, and so I've got 3 blanks. When it divided, it attempted to average that by totaling up those 3 blanks and dividing it by the number of exams they took. Well, the number of exams that they took was 0. So you got a division by, and you can fix that real quick in the data just by putting something in there. All right, and then resorting it. Okay. Filter tables. Those same little pull-down list gives you a series of options to filter. You can filter by above average, the top 10, the top 10%. There's a whole series of options for filtering this table. And I'm going to do once again on the last column here. And you can see number filters. So I can filter all of the average that equal 100, or I can greater than 50%, the top 10, above average, below average, or I can custom. I can do a between. Filter out all of the average exams between 70 and 80, because that will automatically tell me all the C's. Or 81 to 90. That'll give me all the B's. Okay? So for right now, I'm just going to filter it, because I'm going to take off the filter here. If it's less than, well, let's do greater. Greater than 75%. All right? So greater than, and it comes up and it asks you what you want to greater than to, and I'm just going to type in 75%. And so what that's going to do is it's going to remove all of the records that used to be down here that were less than an average of 75%. So that's filtering. All right? Okay, I've done the average already. Conditional formatting. This one's fun. Let me remove the filter so that I've got everything back here. On the Home tab, there's conditional formatting. So on the Home ribbon, up here at the top, is conditional formatting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to top and bottom rules. So anything that is below average, I'm going to highlight. And what that's going to do is in each individual cell, things that are below average, and let me pause here for a second. I'm going to highlight only the data and not the numbers. Because my student numbers, they misinterpret that. So, all right, conditional formatting, the bottom rules, I want below average. And what it does is going to highlight everything that is below the average on those individual exams, column by column, and below average for the entire average of all 3 exams, with a light red and a dark red text. And sure enough, there's everybody. On the first exam, the average was 83.5. So anybody with a below, I don't know why that's doing that. Why is 84 there? Interesting. Yeah, I don't know why that's doing that. But anyway, so that's the below, and then they give you what they want you to average as far as conditional formatting. The other thing they want you to do is be able to edit the conditional formatting rules. So if you go back to this table and you click on conditional formatting, down at the very bottom it says Manage Rules. All right? So I'm going to manage these rules, and I only have one rule, and that's this below average rule. And you got either a new rule, delete the rule, or edit the rule. So we want to edit the rule. And what I want to do is I want to, and I'll just do one that, let's see, cells based on their top or bottom ranking. Let's see. There we go. So I'm going to edit it and change it from below average to format all cells based on their values. And what it's going to do is the lowest values, it's going to color this dark orange, and the highest values is going to be kind of a light yellow. And it's going to be a graduated scale, and you'll see what it looks like here in a second. So now it looks like this. So the people with really, really bad grades are in orange, and then the light ones are up there at the top. Okay? So that's editing rules. Okay. Insert a picture. And then we'll get to charting, my favorite. All right, I'm going to insert a picture over here. Under the Insert tab, they have Pictures up at the top. Go to your data, and this will default automatically. And there's the picture. So that's how you insert a picture. Why they wanted you to do that is a mystery to me. So it's not difficult. But it's on the Insert tab, Pictures, and go find. And there's only one file out there, and you see it's a JPEG, and that you just insert it.
Do you have to do it to sheet 2?
Yeah, that's where they had it on this one. And you'll see on my finished product, that's where I put mine too. Okay? Is on sheet 2. Whatever. All right. Chart. My favorite. What I'm going to chart is I'm going to chart, whoops, that's the wrong one. In the grade book, I'm going to chart the top 10 scores, just to keep it simple. So I've highlighted, including the header rows, I've highlighted the top 10 exam averages. All right, the first 10 records. Back to insert, I'm going to chart, and I'm going to do a column chart that's stacked. That's all I'm doing. And there's my chart. Okay? They want you to x-axis the names in the data range. So on the chart, along the bottom of the chart, you'll see that it came up just 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. Well, I have a data range out here. I have the student numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that to highlight the x-axis here. And then up here at the top where it says Select Data, under the chart design ribbon, I'm going to select data for that equal to this. And then hit OK. Shoot. See, this is why I hate charts. All right, let me try it again. I really hate charts. Select data. Oh, I know what I did. There we go. No. Chart data range. Oh, here we go. I'm going to edit this one. Yeah, that's it. There we go. Okay. All right. So what I did was over here. Here's the actual data. Here's the test number 1, 2, final, and average. And then you'll see when the first chart is that this used to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the horizontal axis labels. When I edit that, I can then highlight those 10 numbers. And then what the chart looks like is this. So now you have the student numbers on the bottom here. I also changed the chart title to top 10 grades. Oops. And then I changed the style of the chart. And so there's chart styles up at the top of your design ribbon. All right? So all I did was I selected a chart style that was a little more informative. Let me see. This one right here. So now what they did with the stacked chart is it's got the individual grades in there for, you know, the midterm 1, midterm 2, the final, and the average. So that's all I did. And it's asking you, it tells you specifically these on here. Okay? So what I did was chart, x-axis name data range, and then styles. So that's what and it'll tell you exactly what style of chart they want you to, so just like you did before with the table where it said the style, it'll tell you exactly the style. All right? And what style did I wind up using? I wound up using style number 2. So I'll change that here. So styles style 2 in the chart. Okay? All right. That's it for sheet 1. So this is where it winds up looking, and this is what my final one used to look. So it's close. So now they're kind of the same. Well, you didn't expect me to completely duplicate it. All right? So the second one is this here. So let me move this down a little bit. What they want you to do is concatenate. Now, what concatenate means is taking two pieces of text and putting them together. Okay? That's what concatenate does. There's a function for it that they want you to use, because that's what I used. You can do it without the function, and it's a lot easier to do it without the function. But I got 100 on the function part, so use the function. Okay? So the function, and all I'm going to do is put it here, is concatenate. And you don't need to know how to spell it, because the minute you put CON in here, you can see it says join several text strings into one text string. So just click on that. So text 1 is going to be week 3. And then you put a comma in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a quote with a space, a dash, and another space, and then an end quote. Because what I'm doing is concatenating what we're covering in week 3 to chapter 2, financial reporting and its conceptual framework. So a quote, space, quote, and then another comma, and then chapter 2, and then end the function. And you'll see that now we have week 3 dash chapter 2 financial reporting, its conceptual framework. All right? So I'm going to entitle this little table as next week's schedule. I think that's what I called it. Yep, next week's schedule. Okay, let me get back to it. I put inside the parentheses, I picked A4, which is week 3, and then a comma, because that separates out the text strings. And then I put a double quote, a space, a dash, another space, end quote. And then another comma, and then clicked on B4. And then hit enter. All right? Oops. Merge cells and center. This one's an easy one. I want to take this next week's schedule and I want to span it over a series of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 columns. Up here on the Home tab, there's a Merge and Center icon at the top. And it's going to take those 8 individual cells and create one cell out of them, and it's going to put my words in the middle of it. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the header. So next week's schedule. And then what I did was, is I took both of it and I put a big bold border around it. And then, so now next week's schedule has got a big block around it. All right? And it's a function. It's a formula. So I can click on this and hit edit and just drag those down to week 4 and it'll change that little to week 4, week 5, week 6, onward. Okay. background shading, dark blue, text 1, lighter 80%. So this merged here. Up here at the top is background shading. It's fill color. And I want accent 1 or 2. What did I have here? Dark blue, text 1, lighter 80%. So when you come down through here, blue, yeah. There's the 80%. Okay? So it's just background color for fill. Find and delete. I want to remove all the commas in my data here. All right? So I've got 3 commas. After the introduction, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I do is use see, here's another one where I used the hotkey. Yeah, I don't know where it is. Looking for find and replace. There we go. Find and select. So I want to find and replace, and I want to find all the commas. And I want to replace them with a blank. That'll delete them. So replace all. It made 3 replacements, and that's it. Okay? Then it also asks you to do a find and replace. You want to find and replace, and what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to find all of the, oops, that's the wrong one, all of the colons here after each of the chapters, and I'm going to replace it with a space and a dash. So find the colons and replace them with a space, dash, space. Do the same replace. And you can see it replaced all of the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, colon, with now a dash. And they tell you what they want you to find and replace. It was a word of some sort, and I don't remember what it was. But it works the same way. Go over to the home page, go up to find and select, over here on the top left-hand corner, and just click replace. Okay? Okay, close that out. Almost finished. Page range. I want to print this grade book. And I only want to print the actual grade book. I don't want to print everything else. So highlight everything you want to print, go to the page layout ribbon, and set print area. It's the one in the middle. So print area, set print area, and that's it. Turn it to landscape. So back in the print setup, down here in the lower corner of this page, under page layout, is page setup. So the next 2 things they want you to do are both in here. So click on that little right corner, lower right corner, click on that little arrow, and it'll bring up the page setup dialog box. And in here, we're going to do landscape, and then it's asking us to put a footer in. All right, and center it on the footer. So change this to landscape. Custom footer in the center section. And I'm just going to put grades. And then the other thing I'm going to do, just because I want to, is I'm going to, I don't recall it asking this,